So the stream that I'm about to show you is a conversation I had with the homie Joe. He has a YouTube channel called Men of High Value, and he also has a second YouTube channel called Girls of High Value. We talked about the subject of polygyny. He actually discovered me through my polygyny video. So we thought we'd have a conversation and record it for y'all. He had a lot of interesting things to say. I really want to know what y'all think about what he said. So make sure y'all leave that in the comments. And I'm showing the second half of our conversation on this channel. And to see the first half, you have to go to his channel. So make sure y'all go to his channel and check it out so you can see the whole conversation. You know, like, comment, subscribe, and all of that. And yeah, let me know what y'all think. For the leftover.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. And, bro, you'll never have to worry that he'll ever cheat. Ever.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you never had to worry because it's a beautiful concept, but you still gotta insert the right men or the right people in the concept. It can
I
still
like
be
that.
it can still be it can still be turned into a pimp and hoe situation. I've seen it a lot. Um, I've seen it practiced a lot under the name polygyny. So it just depends. Just like I don't know if monogamy ain't for everybody. I'm not certain polygyny may not be for everybody. But you just still got to insert the right people in the right. That's what I'll say. And I don't know if you'll never.
Absolutely. And that's why I believe in I've called it arranged marriage in the past. It'll be definitely different than the arranged marriage of the past. You know how they did it in way back. But my system would be in the sense of like I want to be highly engaged in developing a short list for my daughter. So a short list of of men that I trust, that I look as highly qualified to be with my daughter and her BFFs. So that would be my responsibility to find that and to do that early. You know what I mean? Like, so I already know the short lists, when she's maybe 16, 17, and I help her out in terms of maybe helping out her parents, hopefully they'll believe the same thing. You know what I mean? So that's why we're developing this movement right here to make sure that more men are coming on board so that they maybe they have kids in the future, and then maybe they have a daughter that's approximately the same age as my daughter, and then all the fathers come together and put their stamp of approval that this is the right guy for my daughter. You know what I mean? Or these are the right guys, and then the group can select the right guy from that short list.
So let me ask this. So it sounds like your wife is receptive, right? How does her family feel about it? Like, do you feel like her family will accept y'all situation if y'all were to add?
Well, in my opinion, who cares?
Okay.
Like, I mean, yeah, family is everything, but it's kind of like my brother is gay. He had to come out of the closet. We had to accept him for who he is and for what kind of lifestyle he wanted to do. Why would they not accept me and my kids and my women? You know what I mean? Like, it's exactly the same thing. It's for me, it's exactly the same thing. But my wife though, like she's not very close to her family, so for her part, it's not a huge deal. Like, she doesn't see them very often. In terms of my family, my father just passed away this past year. My mother knows, what I teach, and she just wants me to be happy, and so here we are. It's not going to be a big deal in terms of the hierarchy of the people before me. And also, I'm a masculine man. Like, I can decide what I want to do and where I lead my women. And if I believe that this is going to be helpful and actually beneficial to women and children, people will have to respect that.
Yeah, I can dig it.
Yeah, man. So you had a question before we started about hypergamy. What is hypergamy?
Yeah, what is that? Explain.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about that. Okay, so basically 10 years ago there was a movement called the manosphere. And it's still going on today. And it's gotten a lot of bad rap because there's a lot of bad people in it. It's kind of like the player movement, where basically guys are learning about how to, date girls and have sex with a bunch of girls and blah blah blah. But believe it or not, they're the ones that have also discovered the true female nature. Because when you have sex with a lot of girls, unfortunately, you get a lot of data. You get a lot of information. You begin to see that all women are pretty much the same, if not completely the same. It's just that they've been in a different environment and a different input than the rest. So you still got to find a high quality woman, but they're still all the same. And that player movement came out with words and basically is a dictionary of words on the female nature, and one of those words was hypergamy. I didn't like the player movement, the manosphere, in that manner, but there was another movement called the Christian manosphere. So it was basically people from the biblical side who studied, what players were doing and what was going on with the true female nature. So that's what I got a lot of my information, and developed our own system because of it. But hypergamy is basically that a woman, if presented a higher value man than the man that she's currently with, she will always pick the higher value man.
Always.
Always. And she cannot make that choice.
She cannot make the choice. Elaborate. Go in some more.
So it basically means that women are emotional creatures, and when it comes to sexual matters, but in my opinion also other matters, she cannot rationally tell her body to desire this man and this man alone forever. She is wired in such a way, nature has made it, so that she will always desire the higher value man. Which is a huge problem, because that's what we see in the world today. We're seeing polygamy, but we're seeing polygamy from both ends. It's men having sex with a lot of women, but also, unfortunately, women are having sex with a lot of men. And women do this from an earlier age than men do, because they have their beauty riches, earlier in life. And we build up our foundation and our confidence over time, you know what I mean? And this hypergamy, though, I'd say that it's a positive thing. And people, when they hear that, it's like, what the hell? How can this be a positive thing, that women do not have a choice in their sexual mate? That they have to be with the higher value man? The reason why it's a positive thing is because if you make sure that you're the highest value man out there in her vicinity, in her environment, she will always stick with you. She cannot leave you. It's impossible. She's pulled like a magnet to you in such a way that she can never disappear. And if you understand how to work that, how to make sure that you are the highest value man at all times, then you'll never be dumped. Ever. It's physically impossible.
So what will go all into the higher value men? Is it just money, or what all goes into it?
So that's why I got the Men of High Value channel, because that's where I teach the principles that will allow you to retain a woman. But we start with semen retention. That's my first thing. And then we develop, self-mastery, discipline. You build your financial foundation so that you never run out of money. You know what I mean? And you live voluntary celibacy until you've got that financial foundation. Because don't take on women before then, because you're just risking a lot by doing it. And then when you do have that financial foundation, that's when you That's when you need to understand the woman and the different things that she emotionally needs in order for you to retain her. So women got emotional needs, you got to know what they are, and you got to be able to give that to her. If that makes sense.
So is the highest value man around? Is it going to be subjective, or is it something objectively we can measure every time? Like we could just go in a room and know this is the highest value man.
The highest value man is the one that is the most masculine. Masculinity is what. So then we got to know what's masculinity. What's my definition there, right? Because there's a lot of definitions out there.
Right.
So masculinity for me is the one that is most emotionally stable and the most emotionally indifferent. Okay? It's basically the guy that can control his thoughts better than anyone else. Okay, so, and the reason why I say that is because femininity is all over the place, is emotionally all over the place and can't control his or her thoughts. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where my masculinity definition is. So the more masculine you become, the more self-control and self-mastery you'll have. And that's why you're able to control basically everything around you, without forcing it, without forcing them. It just naturally comes, It's like passive income. Once you started controlling a lot of different ways of making money, it just flows naturally. And it's kind of freaky, And it's the same thing with women. The more masculine you become, it's just like, man, where these honeys been all my life? You know what I mean? Like now they're like coming out of the woodwork. All of them want my attention. So that's basically masculinity, is being able to control things without forcing things.
So the most cool, calm, and collected with the best checking account and credit score, the collective of all of that.
All of that, man. I look at God as the most masculine person in the universe.
You said, "Who, God?"
So, God. That's right. So,
Look like he lost his temper a couple times.
What was that?
It looked like he lost his temper a couple times.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but hey, we're not sure about what was going on there. And to be honest, in my opinion, bro, anger is not acceptable, man. And what he did there, I don't know if that was something else. I don't know. That'll be a discussion for another day. But in my opinion, bro, if you can't control yourself, then you're not being a man. So that's my thinking of in terms of that. So how does this help in terms of hypergamy? Well, first of all, in terms of hypergamy, we want to make sure that we're the most masculine man. But in monogamy, it becomes a problem because we've got more sexual interest than the women. So we're going to be the ones who are, continuously asking or approaching or, trying to be with her. Well, she's like, I'm a bit busy. I'm thinking about other things and blah, blah, blah. That puts us in a low masculine status because it's difficult to be indifferent and control ourselves and control our emotions because we want to have sex. And when we're not able to have her be physically interested in us, then we're proving that we don't have power. Does that make sense? So we automatically are losing our status, and her sexual desire is like drying up like nobody's business. So that's a problem. But when you introduce polygyny into all of this, you got 3 women that are living in harmony, which is another thing for afterwards. We can explain how to produce harmony amongst the women. If you have 3, then they'll continuously edify you and talk about you when you're not there. And when other women talk about a guy when he's not there, they're mystifying him and they're putting him up. You know what I mean? And they're establishing him. And if that's her constant environment, there won't be other guys that are interrupting. And I don't know if you've noticed, but to approach a woman and to try to get her to be interested in you, if she is in a group of 3, is really tricky. It's like very often the players are talking about like, bro, you got to learn how to isolate a woman, you know, like be there together when they're, you know, if there's 3 girls, then talk to the girls, and then you got to do this and this and this to get one of the girls to be interested in you. But then you got to isolate her in order for you to take it to the next level and take it to the next step, or else she won't be sexually interested in you. So having 3 women, and that's their constant environment, and they're homemakers, and they're not going out to work because you're financially providing for all of them, that helps you to know that hypergamy is working in your favor.
Interesting.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I got a question. So, you know, the most masculine man, and being masculine is being able to be basically cool, calm, and collected. I know you got the Girls of Value channel. So what would be like the most perfect feminine woman?
Ooh, fantastic question. The most feminine woman is someone who basically who obsesses, and it's out, and it's okay. Okay, so it's
okay.
Yeah, someone who, like, for example, women are their most feminine when they're unburdened. Okay, so I have this definition for women is masculinity is being burdened. So you got a tons of responsibilities, you got your job, you got to go out there and you're responsible, right? That's like we're putting that on women these days. Is you got to be responsible. You got to be disciplined. Like, we should stop doing that immediately because they're not responsible. Like, they can't control their thoughts, they can't control their emotions when they're feminine. And when they're masculine, they try to do it, but then it exponentially grows until it explodes, right? Because they're trying to control it, but it's like a pressure cooker. So it's like, brrr, and then it's just massively explosive. And that's because they're being masculine and are trying to control their emotions. If you allow them to be feminine, meaning allow them to express their emotions, allow them to get it out, then the pressure cooker, we're taking off steam every single day. Taking off steam, allowing her to actually get it out. And in that way, you can avoid the disasters. That's what I'm at when my girl is saying, you know, continuously. It's because I every single day. I let her blow off the steam. I let her, you know, vent and get it out, so that she doesn't ever get to the 3, 4.
Run that back a little bit because it got choppy. I missed like the last 2 sentences.
So that's why my wife says that, you know, she's a consistent 8 when it comes to the level of happiness of 1 to 10. You know what I mean? Because I take off the pressure cooker. I let her vent. I let it get out. I let her be feminine. Does that make sense? So women are their most feminine in their teenage years. You can say from when they're very young as well, but when they become themselves and the most sexually excited, which is also a feminine trait, then that's in her teenage years, especially her late teenage years. It becomes very difficult for her to control herself, and that's why she says yes to have sex with someone. You know what I mean? Like, if women could control themselves, they probably wouldn't have sex that early. But they can't control themselves. They need it. They want the sex. So that's kind of the definition of femininity is being unburdened, not having responsibilities, not having to do anything that they don't have to or want to do. They naturally do good. Women naturally do good. If they don't have responsibilities, I don't know if you've noticed this with your daughters, but since you're providing for them and they're young, if you ask them to do something, bro, they listen to you. Right? They're obedient. You know what I mean? It's because they're feminine, they're unburdened. But the moment they become burdened in their teenage years because of sexual desire, that's when they stop listening to you. as a father because they've got a different master. They got their emotions are being drawn to other guys.
Interesting. So,
how old are your daughters?
They are 4, 7, and a fresh 10. Yeah, 4, 7, and 10.
You got to get prepared, man. 5 years from now, bro.
That's what they say.
You gotta get ready.
That's what they say. I think I'm ready.
So, but do you agree with the feminine definition? I mean, give me some feedback here.
I don't know. I think I look at it a whole different way. The way I look at masculinity and femininity, because I look at them more so as energies, and I look at both men and women need a balance of both. In a nutshell, masculinity is like assertion. Go out and get it. Even like me and you having a conversation, as I'm talking is the masculine part of the conversation. Listening is the feminine part of the conversation. So I look at the woman as perfect feminine woman as just basically receiving and cultivating and exponentializing whatever you put in her. Like, put your thing in it, you give you back a baby, give her a house, you turn it to a home, things like that. That's how I see it. I wouldn't necessarily say I see it as just the pressure cooker.
Right. But it's an interesting standpoint, though. But I could completely agree with you. Like the feminine aspects of that's right. Being a homemaker, and being more people oriented, instead of guys being more things oriented or project oriented. Completely, absolutely agree with you. Being more giggly and singing and dancing and all entertainment and stuff like that, it's feminine. But if you look at it from an emotional standpoint, it's because of the emotions that they do what they do. It's not because it's rational. You know what I mean? And that's basically where
I think that too. Like I think logic is masculine, and to me, emotions is just unorganized logic. They know they feel something. They can't really put together why they don't, but I just know they feel it. For that reason, I don't discount it. Maybe I can help you organize these feelings into logic and see where it came from. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Well, I think there was something else that I spoke about earlier. Yeah, how to have harmony with the women. That's a good one, bro.
Yeah.
Maybe I can do something about that. Well, maybe we should first start with how do you manage to get them together?
He said, "How do you manage to put them together?"
But that's actually the same thing. Okay.
Oh man, yeah. Breaking up.
But it's the exact same thing as keeping harmony. Because if they
you're breaking up on my end. Hold on.
See this track. So
all right, go ahead.
Cool. You hear me?
Yeah, I got you now.
All right, let's try it. So the goal is to have the women unite and be and have something in common with each other. So there's something that is more common than anything else in the polygynous relationship, and the common denominator is the man. And if they can all desire him, that's fantastic. But let's look at it from the standpoint of when negative things happen, because that's when the discord happens, right? Like if they're not happy with each other, there's going to be a lot of issues. So the key is for them to be happy with each other, but also to know what to do when they get upset with each other. And here's the solution. If you always take the blame, extreme ownership, like Jocko Willing talked about, and you always take the blame for everything that happens. Everything. If a woman did this, it's your fault. It's not her fault. because that would put the blame and responsibility on her, and that would make her masculine, and that would make her unequal to the others.
There
And
you go.
the inequality is, that's where the problem is. Because if women feel equal and they have abundance, so they have equality with abundance as it rises, then, you know, sometimes maybe you'll have a little bit higher sexual interest, but they'll still be equal because they have each other, the two others, right? If you only have two, then you'll focus on the one and the other one's going to be left behind. So it's unequal.
Mm. I hear you.
If you focus on them, the equality comes from them having each other and knowing that you have abundance for them too. So the key, so the key here is to take the blame every single time. You do that, you can have to live in harmony together.
And what's funny is that's what you would do in a monogamous relationship too. Take the blame for everything. So like, I go back to what I said earlier, just mastering the monogamy and exponentializing it into polygyny. So yeah, I agree, 100%.
Fantastic, man. Fantastic. So I think, well, you gonna say?
Say what?
What were you gonna say? I interrupted you.
No, I said I couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. So, all right, I think we'll just end the stream here, bro. It was awesome to get to know you a little bit better, Blaqamore. I'm gonna, like all of you other guys, you know, go check out his YouTube channel, and his Instagram is Blaqamore, Black with a Q, and and you guys will, man, participate in this movement. You know, you as well, Blaqamore, man. Let's go get it. Men of high value movement. So, anyway, peace out, guys.
All right, man.